Parents and grandparents, have you ever heard your teen say, "It's giving," and wondered what that even means? Our kids are speaking a new language shaped by social media, group chats, and a digital world moving at lightning speed. If we don't understand the world they're in, we risk losing the conversations that matter most. That's why today we're talking with David Eaton, CEO and founder of Access.org, an organization that equips parents for gospel-centered conversations with their teens and children about faith and culture. David, welcome back to 100 Huntley Street.
Good to be here.
We're thrilled to have you join us today. And, as a mom of two teenage boys, I have a lot of questions for you. We're heading into another school year, and I know that can feel exciting, but it can also feel overwhelming all at once for parents. What encouragement would you give to parents right now who are stepping in to the back-to-school season?
The best encouragement I can give any parent is a short story. We had a young lady say to us, "I've only had one real conversation with my dad." And that sounds terrible. And her dad was a pastor, and her dad was a Christian university president. However, she then smiled and she said it again. She said, "I've only had one real conversation with my dad, and we've never stopped having that one conversation." So what parents and grandparents, you need to know is that you're the most influential voice in the life of your kid. You are unstoppable, and you are going to have parents a 50 to 60-year conversation with your kids and grandparents a 30-year conversation. So even though you're in this space right now where it's school starting and what about phones and what about new slang and what about AI, just know that you are going to outlast and be a part of your kid's life, and there's no one like you in their life.
Oh, I love that. And to press into who you are in their lives. And the reality is you are also there, David, to help equip us today with some information we really need as parents and grandparents of kids and teens. And so, between technology and social media, there is a new language that kids are speaking, and it's hard to keep up with all of it. As parents, we're trying to stay on top of these changes so that we can stay relating to them. What are some of the changes that are happening? What can we do to stay on top of what's going on?
So the first thing I'll say is that at Access.org, we're your research assistant as a parent. So if you're watching this and you feel overwhelmed, take a deep breath and then let it go and just realize that you've got someone in your corner. Now, the way that you stay on top of all of it is you have a relationship with your kid where you ask them open-ended questions, you get to know what's going on. But also at Access, we have a resource called the Culture Translator. It's an email that comes out every Friday. And if you sign up for that, we'll let you know what the latest teen slang is. We'll let you know how to have a conversation about suicidal ideation or cutting, or how to have a conversation about TikTok. And so those resources are for you, but really to have that conversation with your kid. And the idea for us, culture translation, just means if C.S. Lewis and MTV, if they made a baby, they would name their baby Axis. So we're studying this for you, but there's no one who can replace your influence in the conversations that you get to have when you're driving in your car to volleyball practice or hockey practice, when you're staying up late because that's when your kid wants to talk and you're listening. You are irreplaceable in their life. But yeah, staying on top of it, it always is changing.
So I love the Culture Translator emails. And, of course, what I said off the top of our interview, the concept of what's, that's giving, that's how kids say something has a certain vibe. And those are some of the kinds of terms that you would cover in the emails that you send out. I think some of the parents watching right now, grandparents, might be wondering, what are the open-ended questions that we could be asking our kids? And also, how do we respond to them if the conversations are tender or challenging, or we feel actually pretty strongly about what they're saying to us?
Well, great thing is to always remember that you don't have to solve the issue right then. You have 50 years. However, you might come across something that freaks you out. So a great open-ended question is, if you're concerned about something or you see something, ask if their friends are into it. So what are your friends, what are they doing about dating, or what are they thinking about TikTok? And then I think it's really important to remember another story. And this is a foundational story at Access. And again, Access is all about Jesus being at the center of your family's Access. I was talking to a teenager and her mother had just taken away her phone. And it was intense. There were tears and there was anger. And there was frustration, and I was listening to them, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to help, and it went down in flames. Okay, so I wasn't like magical in that situation, but the teenager said to me as I was walking away, she said, "David, the stricter the parent, the sneakier the teenager."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my goodness, that's why I love teenagers. They're so smart, they're so clever. And I was like, that is true. However, I was like, there's something that's profoundly untrue about it. So I started asking other parents, it's like, how would you respond to the stricter the parent, the sneaker, the teenager? And a grandpa solved it. Grandpa Bob, he answered back. He said, are you raising a sin concealer or are you raising a sin confessor?
Mm.
And the only way you know the difference is if you're modeling confession in your home. And what had happened is that this mother and this daughter had become adversaries. And really, you have to be on the same team. And having a teenager live in your home is like having, I mean, you have a couple boys. It's like having at home tech support. You can't outsmart them in these areas. So to recruit them and say, I want to be on the same page with this, I love you. And really, this is a phrase. This next phrase is like, take this home with you. Tell them often, you can tell me anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want them coming to you, not Chat GPT or Google. You can tell me anything. And then, Laura, when they do tell you, practice your I'm not shocked face. Because they might say something you're like, I didn't think that was possible. It wasn't when I was a kid. But to realize, remember what it felt like to have just those intense hormones, all the things going on in your life, your brain is still baking and growing there. Practice your I'm not shocked face and say, yeah, let's talk about it, and realize that you're having the one conversation.
Yeah. Well, David, I want to say that what you're suggesting really works, and I'm newer in that season, but I have practiced my I'm not shocked face. I've asked the open-ended questions, and my son continues, especially one of them who's a bit older, is continuing to share more and more about what he's experiencing, what the world around him has unfolding, and all of the different dynamics he's going through as a teenager. And we're working on that with our younger son as well. You know, you mentioned phones, and I think every parent watching knows the tension around iPhones and different kinds of social media that could be on them. And it's one of the biggest conversations happening. Even in my home, I'm struggling with dealing with putting limits on some of the phone use and some of the apps that are there. What can we do as we're trying to set healthy boundaries in that area?
Great question. And the number one question we get at Access is, when should I get my kid a phone? And I want to answer that first. The answer to that is, it's a bad question. Here's why it's a bad question. It assumes two things that are false. The first thing it assumes is that when you give your kid a phone, it's just like in a box wrapped in cellophane, and it's like, here, you have access to all the wonderful things about humanity and all the most atrocious things about humanity. So that would be the first challenge. You can give them incremental access, and I'll talk about that here in a second. The second thing is it assumes they don't already have a phone. And our kids, okay, this is a scary one, so just be prepared to receive this. Our kids are only as safe as their friends' phones. So that's why you have to have that relationship, even if you're like hardcore. But however, there's many situations where you might be like, I have to give them a phone. I already gave them a phone. What do I do? So here's a couple thoughts. The first one is, there is so much pain in this space that there are first phones for kids. And so if you haven't gotten your kid a phone yet, you can get them a first phone. Now you can't get, and so there are a lot of different brands out there that they're not iPhones, and they're very simplified, and it's just a great training wheels, the first step. However, the second thing, and I think this is the most important, it is a relational response. Access has a resource called the Everything Smartphone. It's a magazine. It's a PDF on our website, and we say there are 8 different areas. There are 8 different areas to write down your expectations about the phones. If it was 7, I would make it 7. If it was 5, I'd make it 5. But I want to set you up for success. So the first 4 is, what are your non-negotiables? Who pays for it? How much time can they be on it? And where can they be on it? These are all ethical, moral, philosophical questions. So can they have it in their bedroom? Can they have it in the bathroom? Can they have it at church? Can they have it at the dining room table? Can they have it on 24/7 or not? Who pays for it when it breaks? Who pays for it when they buy it? Just like they have a room in your house, it's their room, it's your room, it's your house. They have a phone in your house, it's still your phone, even though it's their phone. The other 4 are social media, app store, texting, and when you go through a list, sometimes you forget the fourth one. Browser, social media, App Store, and yeah, apps. It's App Store and it's texting. So I'm looking in the back right here. Yeah, Internet, App Store, texting, social media. Sorry, TV, that I forgot my list. But those are all different categories that require wisdom, and you can have them have a phone, and you can turn off the internet. You
Yeah.
can turn off App Store. You can have certain boundaries for texting. You can even turn it off sometimes. And so all of these have interaction points. And what your expectations as a parent and their expectations as a kid are so different. So different. So to say, I want to write this out. This is not a contract in blood. It's just to get us on the same page
Mhm.
so that we can be together in this, because there's so many different expectations and assumptions that come to it with an incredible device, a
Mm.
phone. So amazing.
And David, sometimes in the digital world, there are very unsafe issues unfolding in our kids' lives and our teens' lives. Can you tell us how we can safeguard against that? And what are some of the signs we need to look out for, what we can do?
You can't safeguard against it. That's the hard thing. I mean, there's uh, you can prepare the path for your child. You can prepare your child for the path.
Mm.
So the safeguard is that your kid needs your wisdom,
Mhm.
and we need their wonder
Mm.
and that open conversation. You want them to come to you first. You want to have built a a relationship of confession and repair.
Mm.
Now, there are positive things, and that's why we exist at access.org. We'll help you understand. But it used to be all about sexting back in the day, and now it's AI, and now it's you can date someone, a chatbot with AI, and who would have thought that? And you can take a picture of someone's face and you can put a nude image on the rest of their body, and there's going to be new ways to be evil.
Mhm.
There's going to be new ways to translate the Bible because of AI. We hold these things in tension, that God made a very good world,
Mhm.
but it became cursed. And because of Jesus, he's invited us to be redemptive with him in that world. So the best thing you can do is have that open conversation
Mm.
and to be in that space with them. And then realize that as soon as you figure it out, there's something that's new is going to show up, and to just be like, yep, this is our world, and we're here for each other. We're on the same team.
Well, that resounds so deeply with me. David, having that open conversation with my kids that is ongoing. One of the things we have is complete access to their apps. So we're always seeing what's going on for them. We try not to interfere. We take a quick look, and they are coming forward with issues and concerns. And then we use that wisdom while they have their wonder. I love everything you've said, and I know so many of our viewers do. And so if you're watching right now and you want more information, please go to access.org. There is so much support for you. You will feel encouraged and empowered that you can walk through these journeys with the children and teens in your life. David, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for all you do to keep the next generation connected to Jesus and to their families.
Of course, we're your research assistant.